let's do this. Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you're new. If you're new here, my name is Elena and I am the homeschooling mama to 3 kiddos. Here on the channel we talk about everything from homeschooling to homemaking and all the things in between. Today we're going to touch on a little bit of all the things in between, including homeschooling and homemaking, because we're talking about our goals. I cannot believe that July is just about done. At the time of recording, we're in our last week, and I knew we were in our last week of July. I just was not prepared for summer to start closing. And it feels like because school is starting back up earlier, let me know if it started earlier for y'all too. It feels like they're starting school earlier and they are getting out earlier, but I am just not prepared. I still feel like I'm on that like old school September to June schedule, which is I think kind of how I run our homeschool. I set it up, but anyways, all of that to say, I'm gonna need one more month of summer because I'm not ready to come off of summer break. Also, I should prepare better. I mean, tape, it's just real life happening here. So let's talk about our goals for August. Well, take it back. Let's wrap up July. Let's talk about August. If you haven't seen the July goals and you want to catch up on my goal setting, I will link that for you up in the cards here. And you can come back, or you can catch that and then catch up here. Every month I try to sit down and set out my goals with you for the month ahead. If you want to, I would love to see what you are looking forward to for the month ahead, what your intentions that you are setting up, so that we can be cheering one another on in the community here. I usually set up my goals in some major like category points. So faith, homeschool, fitness, health kind of goes, clearly I'm not prepared. Faith, fitness, homeschool, and health. I think those are my top 4, and then budget. So let's talk about faith. Let's talk about how I'm setting intentions out, or goals out with my faith. In my faith category, sometimes I will set out to do a particular Bible study, or I will set out to make sure that I'm getting in some either morning quiet time, or at some point in the day, some quiet time with the Lord. And what that means is I could be reading devotional, I could be reading the Bible, I could just be sitting in prayer, I could be listening to worship, I could be doing all the things, or maybe just 1 or 2 of those. So that's when I say quiet time, kind of what I mean. I am filming earlier than usual, so I have my coffee. So if you have a floating cup around, that's what that is. It's gonna suck for editing because I keep stopping to drink it. But for my faith goal for July, I think I was just trying to be more intentional with making sure I was getting in quiet time. And I wrapped up our June goals about trying to reach out to more people. July, I feel like, was kind of a whirlwind for us. I don't know if it was like that for anybody else. Let me know how your July went. I have some people that it feels like most people are, or most of the people that I'm seeing are so glad to put July to a close. And I'm like on the opposite end of the spectrum, where I'm like, no, I'm gonna need a few more weeks because again, I'm not ready for summer break to be done. But for July, it kind of went in a whirlwind. We made it to church when we could. There were some Sundays that we were not able to because the kiddos were not sleeping well, or we might have had colds, things like that. For August, we are going to continue on with the same church. Some of you may know that we have been on a hunt for a church family out here when we moved. So this is, we're heading into maybe our 3rd month at the church, maybe third. I don't know. I'd have to go back and check, but I think this might be 3rd. But like I said, we have yet to have a month where we've made it every single Sunday. And if that is you, give yourself grace, because we are trying. But you know, for me, I feel like church is community, and it is good to be there, and it's good to sit under a teacher and have the word. But also, church is a building. The church, actual church, should be the people, and your time with Christ and just soaking that in. So I don't want to get very legalistic and being like, you have to attend every single Sunday, because sometimes you just can't. And especially if you are not feeling well, or members of your family are not feeling well, I definitely feel like then go ahead and stay home and take care of yours. Like, that's okay. Anyways, that was I digress, a little off topic, but for the month of July, I'm just holding on to July. For the month of August, I believe, God willing, we will still be attending the same church and trying to make it as many Sundays as we can. But also at the end of July here, what I started doing for some of my quiet times was reading Psalms. There has been, I don't know if you would just call it an idea or a popular piece of advice, but if you're kind of stuck at what to read a Psalm a day. And so I was kind of feeling myself stuck and not knowing what I wanted to do, if I wanted to start a formal study, if I wanted to see if I wanted to join one, if I could find one, online or something. There aren't too many here in our area. Our church did have a women's book study, but I was looking for something a little bit deeper, actually in the Bible. And so I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And so I went back to that and started reading in the Psalms. Now, I wasn't reading in order. I think I kind of tried that, and then I started skipping around, and I found that like sweet spot for me where I was drawing nearer. And if you've been walking with Christ, you know that feeling that I'm kind of trying poorly to explain, but where you can feel his comfort and his peace through his word. And that was what I really needed. In July, we can talk more about it later, but I had some really bad bouts of anxiety again. It has just been a roller coaster for me. Sometimes I feel like I'm doing so much better, and then. So anyways, I was reading the Psalms here and there, and so I think I'm going to continue that for August, but this time I'm going to either make myself up a chart and see which Psalms I have read. I'm not going to push myself to read a different one every day unless that's what I'm feeling. Sometimes I think that Christ will lead me to the same psalm to just study it over and over again, and that's okay. So I'm going to be in the book of Psalms for the month of August. If you would like to join me and read along in Psalms, I would love to hear what you are reading. I will put my Instagram handle down below. I am hit or miss on Instagram. Sometimes I take very long breaks from it because I feel that platform does not do well for me for my anxiety, but it is, I haven't found a really good alternative to that kind of platform. So I will try to my very best to keep you updated and at least post maybe on there. I'm going to commit to you to try to post at least weekly, but honestly, I'm going to aim for daily to tell you what I've been reading in the Psalms, and I would love to hear what you're reading if you want to come alongside and read the Psalms with me for the month of August. Now, there are 150, I believe, Psalms. I'm not going to aim to read the entire book. I may, but I'm not going to aim to read all 150. I just want to be sure that I am in the book daily. I hope that makes sense. And that's kind of what I'm looking at for my reading for the month of August. It's not really a structured plan, but I'm finding there's joy in that for me. Sometimes I would like a lot of structure. In fact, I keep saying July. In September, I will be starting back up with Bible Study Fellowship. I have just signed up to do that again this year. Last year, I started, but I started late in the year in their study year. And so if you want to join, I will put their link down below. They have both online and in-person classes. I am doing online classes because in my area, there's not an in-person class available. So I think that it's so great that they have the online option, but that is a more formal, structured study. And so I think by September, I will be ready for something more structured like that. But for now, I'm just kind of enjoying watching where God leads me in my own personal quiet time. So for faith, that's what we're doing. We're reading in the book of Psalms. We're touching it every day and getting into it, and then aiming to get to church as much as we can. Now, I want to go from my faith to my health because I feel like those kind of go hand in hand. If my faith for me personally, if I'm not feeling strong in that area, if I'm not drawing near to the Lord, I feel it in my health, especially in my mental health. And then that, of course, will affect your physical health. So as I touched on, I do have a lot of anxiety. I carry a lot of worry that is not mine to carry. So in my mind, I can know these things. But sometimes it's hard to get your body to react in the same way or to understand as well. And so I have been studying as much as I can, seeing ways that I can kind of help myself on this journey, and just trying to understand better where all this is stemming from and how I can reinforce the positive and kind of just speak truth into my life and not be consumed by the anxiety and the worry and the fear, which I think is very prevalent in our times. I think there is a lot out there that just feeds into that. And so we have to be very wary and set up some boundaries on what we're letting into our lives. So there are the normal things that people will tell you, like don't get on your phone first thing in the morning, or for me, I feel like filter everything through God's word, and what does that say? And so it's constant steps that I'm having to take. And then there are other things, that physical things you can do, where I have been talking about recently, your gut-mind connection, and I've been doing a little bit more research on that, and just learning new things that we can do to help combat that. Getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, making sure I'm moving my body, my gut health. We're started to make fermented foods because there's a lot of probiotics in that is helpful. That has been so fun. If you want to know more about our journey fermenting foods, let me know and I will share more with you. I do have one video where I shared the first time we did any kind of fermented, well, it isn't the first time we fermented, because we've been doing kombucha, which is a fermented tea, for years now. But we made curtido, which is kind of like, for me, I liken it to a Mexican sauerkraut or a Latin sauerkraut. It's got a little bit more spice to it. It's got carrots, and it is just delicious. And so we just made another big batch yesterday. I'm so excited for that to be ready. And then we are also trying out a couple other things. And so that has been a fun little adventure for us too. Clearly I'm very excited about it. So if you want to know more about that, let me know. But that has been fun. Or if you ferment your foods, I would love to know what kind of fermentation you're doing. Share, because like I said, it's been a fun adventure for us. So for our health, I'm going to continue on with that adventure. It has proven to be helpful, not just to me, but to my other family members as well. So my husband and my oldest boy, we were talking about how the little changes we were seeing when we are consistent with it, and just they were good changes. And so I'm excited about that. We're going to continue on with that, but I really don't have a set plan for my mental health going into August. I am going to continue, like I said, to be in the Word. I'm going to try my very best to be in community. And then I'm going to continue on with our gut health, and then of course my regular physical fitness stuff, continue on with that. My fitness goals, I usually do a separate video because I'm in my planner and marking out goals. I will link the last video that I did on that up here if you want to catch up with that. That adventure has been going well. With my mental health, I also notice that affects like when I want to work out. I'm trying to switch my mindset up to where I tell myself, when I am full of anxiety or when I'm experiencing this intense fear, that I want to work out, because I know, again, here's where my brain understands and knows these facts, but my body is not always willing to do the action steps, right? So I know that working out helps me so much mentally. I feel better when I'm done, but sometimes I just can't bring myself to get up and do it. And so I will fill my day with other projects, or I will just kind of push it off, the workouts off, and be like, oh, well, I ran out of time, blah, 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 excuses. And so I don't want to do that. I want to see if I can change my mindset back to how I used to feel about it, and understanding that I will feel better when the workout is done. A little mind trick is to just go and start the workout and tell yourself, I'm just going to do it for like 10 minutes. And then usually by 10-15 minutes, you want to complete and do more. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're done and you're like, I'm done. But at least you moved your body for that 10-15 minutes, right? So we're going to get into that, and we're going to do a little bit more of that. But like I said, I'll go into my fitness if you want to know like the nitty gritty of what my goals are in a separate video. Now let's talk about our budget, or in my case, lack thereof. So I feel like the last 2 months, maybe, my goal has been to just track and make sure that we're staying on track, but it has not happened. Let me tell you that the month of July was a hot mess. I did not budget. I did not get like, I just didn't. It was a mess. So now here I am sitting at the end of the month and I have to go back and deal with the mess, which, you know, I only have myself to blame because I'm the one that tried to ignore it. I basically put blinders on and was like, I just can't look at it anymore. So for August, we're going to clean that up. We're going to close out the month of July and we're going to get into August stronger. I know that there is just so much uncertainty, it feels like, and there is so much happening, but I find, again, my anxiety is touching into all these areas, right? Which is why I know it is so unhealthy and more boundaries need to be set. Because I think maybe I didn't want to look at it out of fear, or maybe I was making purchases out of fear. I don't know. So for the month of August, I need to cut that and I need to take emotion out of it and sit down and just crunch the numbers. And that's what we're doing for August. We're going to close out July. I'm going to get in there, clean up that mess. And then going into August, I'm going to sit down and put out our budget again and then really do our very best, God willing, to stick with it. Is anybody else feeling that though? Like, I can't be alone. Is anybody else feeling that like maybe I'm making these purchases out of fear and I'm not really sitting and, you know, thinking well about my budget? So I don't know. I need to clean it up and I need to get a grip on this. Like I said, setting some good, healthy boundaries for myself. And then our homeschool area for the month of July, we were finishing up our homeschool and all I wanted to do was finish up strong, which I'm glad to say we did. We closed out the year and clearly I am not ready to start back up. So we did do a semi-homeschool or summer homeschool where I was having the kids do just a lighter version. I will link that video for you if you want to see our summer plans up above in the cards here for you. But it has been really nice and slow paced and not a set schedule, and that has been wonderful. But I know back to school is just around the corner, so it's time for me to sit down and plan out our year, our upcoming school year. So I need to set out our calendar. I want to sit down, make out our calendar, basically get the new year prepped for us. I have already picked out the curriculum that I want to use for my kiddos for the upcoming year. I'm thinking about it and I'm pretty sure I have all of their curriculum picked out at the very least. We've been kind of buying here and there. I think the only one that I don't have a full set curriculum is for my youngest, but if you've been around again, you know that we kind of use a couple of different ones for him, and it can be kind of hard to place him because he just is higher in some areas or on grade level in some areas, and then in others we're working at a different set or a different level. So, you know, that's the beauty of homeschool, I feel like, is that I can meet him where he's at and then we can customize that. So for instance, last year I said we were in like a kinder first hybrid because there were some kinder skills we were working on and there were some first grade skills we were working on. So it's probably what we'll do as we go into this next year for him. But I do plan on making a curriculum video for each grade level. Again, I did that last year. Again, I will try to link some of those in the description box for you so you can see. Last year we had 9th grade, the kinder first hybrid, and then we also had 3rd grade. So I will link those videos for you if you want to see, if you have that kind of grade level, if you want to see what we picked out last year for that. Then I will make new ones for this year. So for the month of August, we're getting our curriculum set, we're getting our calendar set for the new school year, even though mom is like, let's hold on to summer for as long as we can. And we may end up starting later, or we may, some years what I've done is a very slow start into school where we have added 1 or 2 subjects on until we were at full schedule. But I just need to sit down, talk to my husband. I like to talk to him, have a little, have a little parent meeting, and then of course pray over our homeschool and just see where we're going into. And again, one of the beauties of homeschool is that we can switch it up when it's not working out well for our family. So that's what we'll be doing too, is taking a look at the calendar and seeing what we need to do and then going wherever it leads. For the month of July, at the very end of the video, I did talk a little bit about our garden, which didn't have like a subtopic kind of thing. I wanted to make sure we were getting outdoors and enjoying the outside and being in the garden, and I'm glad to say that we have been doing that. We have been going out when it's later in the evenings, and sometimes if there's a cooler day, then we can go out in the afternoons. We've not been getting up early to go out and about. We've been enjoying really slow mornings, but we have been trying our little hands at our little garden. Didn't plant too much. At least I don't think we did. We do have a couple garden boxes, but we only put a couple of things in there because we are still working to get that soil better. We are renting, and so we were not sure what was in the soil before we got here. And last year we didn't have a chance to plant in them, and so they were just full of weeds. So I'm not even sure that if they were used the last couple of years before we got here. And so that's why we're just kind of working on the soil a little bit healthier and better. Oftentimes here I've asked for help. I do have a couple like garden type stuff, so if you want to see our adventures on that, sometimes I will take you on that adventure as well. But I just want to give a quick update because that was one of our July goals, that I'm glad that we have been continuing on with that project. We haven't abandoned it. It's been really fun, and it's been nice to get outside and outdoors, and I am shockingly surprised. I shouldn't be, but I am surprised at how relaxing it is, how therapeutic it can be to get out and be in the dirt and just watering the plants and watching them grow. It is amazing. And so that is it. Going into August, we just kind of have a continuation of it, and then setting up school. I'd love to know, like I said, if you want to share some of your goals down below, let me know so I can be cheering you on and we can cheer one another on. If you haven't heard, please know that you are deeply and truly loved and so appreciated. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me.